Okay, so I'm really happy with how my test build looks. I'm happy with how it's running in the local server. So I'm going to go ahead and begin transitioning to starting to move this to GitHub. So I'm going to come back to terminal, and I want to stop running this server. I can see every time I sort of interact with the page, it's writing new comments to the console here. In order to stop running this server, I'm going to hit Control C, and it will stop that local server. So now if I refresh my page in my browser, you'll see this site can no longer be reached. And so if you get this message while you're testing, it's probably likely that for some reason your server isn't running. So I don't need that anymore. And I'm now ready to come to my Finder. And I have these different folders going on. I'm realizing that I've named these like fairly similarly, and it's a bit confusing. So I'm actually going to begin renaming these. So I'm going to name this, instead of sample files, I'm going to say Windows repo, Windows example. I'm going to name this Windows Unity. So because I know that these files from my test build are working, what I want to do is transfer them over to my GitHub repository. So I'm going to select all of them, and then I'm going to right click them. I'm going to select copy the 3 items. Oh, you can't see this. I'm going to select all of them. I'm going to hit Command C on a Mac, Control C on a PC to copy them, and then I'm going to come into my Windows repo folder, and I'm going to hit Command V, Control V on a PC to paste those files into this repository. And so now my Windows repository for GitHub has a template data folder, a build folder, an index.html, a license, and a README. So how do I get these to run on GitHub in the same way that they were running on my local server? Well, I'm going to transition over to my GitHub desktop software. It now says that it can't find Windows sample file. That's because I changed the name again. I'm just going to hit locate and then select Windows repo. And now I have it configured correctly. But I can see that all of those files that I just added are now appearing as changes on the left side of my UI here in GitHub Desktop. In order to add these to my repo in GitHub, I'm going to add a summary. I'm going to say init. And I'm going to write a description to explain what this is, where I'm going to say added Unity build files. And then I'm going to commit them to the main branch of this repository. So I hit push origin. This is now uploading them to the internet. This also might take a couple minutes. And now that it's uploaded, I see that there are 0 changed files on the left, which means that the files in my local folder on my computer are exactly the same. They mirror the files that are located in the online version of my folder on my GitHub account. So if I move back to the browser and take a look at my Windows sample file, I might need to refresh my page. I can see that I now have all of those files located in this repository. This is great. I have this like folder of all these files, but it's not a website. How do I get this to run like a website? In order to do that, from my repository, I'm going to click Settings. I'm going to rename my repository to Repo so that this is the same as the folder on my computer. And then I'm going to scroll down to a section of these settings configurations called GitHub Pages. And GitHub Pages is a configuration for your repository that will display it as a static website. All I need to do is switch the source of my GitHub pages from none to main, and then select save. And when I do that, you'll see I get this notification at the top of GitHub pages that says your site is ready to be published at https yourusername.github.io/ the name of your repository. So I'm going to go ahead and open that link in a new tab. Okay, so we can see that that URL to our GitHub isn't immediately displaying our website. And that's because we need to point specifically our index.html file. So what I'm going to do is to the end of this URL, I'm just going to write index.html. And now I can see my project hosted on the internet. I can take this URL, copy it, and submit it to our assignment in Canvas. If I want to have quick reference to this URL, I can add it to the to my README file here. So I'm going to go ahead and click Edit. And this is a markdown file. To add a URL, I might write something like this. Inside of brackets, the text that I want to display, like click here to view the sample files. And then inside of parentheses, the URL. I can go ahead and commit those changes. And now I have a link in my README on my GitHub repo, which is fantastic. And if I come into GitHub, because I made that change to the README file, I'm going to go ahead and click Fetch Origin, and I'll see that that change is reflected here. I'm going to go ahead and pull Origin, and that's going to change the README file locally on my machine. Okay, so that is the full workflow for your midterm. If you have questions, please email me or post them to the Discord channel. Tag me in any post that's about troubleshooting, and I'll try to answer it there so that everybody can see it. Or you can set up an office hours meeting with me at the link that I've included in the class resources page on Canvas, and we can meet one-on-one that way.